Hi you guys, so today is the 8th of November and I'm going to be reading on Creepy Places video number 4, which is going to be on The House in Between. And this takes place in Texas. Now there was a documentary done on this house, and so I'm going to read you a little bit so that you've got some context. And myself as well. Okay. It's my stomach. You guys should be well acquainted by now. Gurgles all the time once I'm on video. Sorry about it. Okay, so this was a documentary made by Stephen Gonzalez and Kendall Welpton. And it's supposed to be authentic. Okay, and I will be looking with my cards and seeing what I get. Now, this place, I don't know why I said it's not in Texas. It's actually in Florence, Mississippi, owned by a woman named Alice Jackson. Now, let's just see here. So this person was saying that on this nightmarishconjurings.com, they're saying that they were fully anticipating that this could be a staged production, that they were watching. But they felt like they were wrong, that this was not a staged thing. And they go on about how we want to rationalize things we can't explain, and it's natural for us to do this because we can't wrap our minds around it, which is, that's true. Our mind will fill in the blanks. And so Alice Jackson had professionals like electricians and contractors come in and try to give a rational explanation. She looked for that, apparently. Because she was having this weird energy and unexplained movements in her home. And the paranormal investigators in this documentary explained the powerful energy that the house exudes, stating that they can only be in it or even near the home for a short period of time. One investigator mentions that he's been documenting the activity in the home for over 9 years. And rightly so, because some of the footage shown in this documentary is some of the most genuine paranormal footage this person writing this article claims they've ever seen. And it's like an A-frame house. I put up a link to this, actually, without even realizing. So let me just kind of scan in between here and see if I can get some bits that are interesting for this. So here's describe the plot. I'll turn to the official synopsis. After a life-changing paranormal experience, Alice Jackson has refused to spend another night in her own home. Looking for answers, she opened up her house to investigators who conducted the first ever decade-long paranormal investigation. So remember, one of these investigators had been investigating the goings-on for already over 9 years. Who or what is haunting her home? This is described as a beautiful documentary telling the real story of a homeowner and the team looking for answers that will get Alice back into her home. The film is not only scary, but it's a thought-provoking look at what it's like to live. I have, with a haunting. Bridging the paranormal, real science, and human experience, this documentary shows a detailed look at what could be one of the most haunted houses in America. And again, it wasn't in Texas, it's in Florence, Mississippi. I don't know why I put it there, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So we're going to read on this home, and I'm going to see what the cards come up as for what is there, what kind of energy, and see what we get. All right, so I'm going to shuffle some cards, I'm going to pick a deck, and I'll be right back. So I'm just going to clear with some Palo Santo. Some for you too. Clearing myself. I love the way it smells. And again, if you use Palo Santo, try to make sure that you buy something that says it's sustainably gathered, because we don't want it to end up, endangered. Okay. So I'm going to use the Southern Gothic Oracle because it's in Mississippi. So let's give it a go. So I've been asking, what's in this place? What is in this home in Florence, Mississippi, the house in between? I'm not even sure why they call it that. That's how much I paid attention to that part. But let's take a look and see what we get. I'm asking Spirit, my ancestors, and the Holy Spirit, what is the energy that's in this house? And is it, for one thing, I don't think that it is a staged thing, but if it is, I would like to obviously have that revealed to me, and I just intuitively don't feel that it is, but must always keep an open mind. So if it is not authentic, I would like to know that. I would like to know if Spirit will share with me also, what are the energies in this home? And what are the things we need to know about it? And I just give the floor to the Holy Spirit to guide and lead, and my ancestors, my spiritual mentors, and to know about the energy of the land and the home. I really enjoy doing these kinds of readings. All right, let's see. And I'll include a link to the documentary. I think that the full, at least a good portion of it, is available on YouTube, because I had posted it before. And I didn't get to watch all of it, but I had watched some of it. And I meant to get back to it, and I didn't. Maybe it's good in a way that I didn't, because now I can read on it and see, go back over it, which is something I love to do. All right, so the first card we're getting is Hurricane Lamp, Preparedness, Inner Light. And I'm going to do the Celtic cross fashion. So this is what covers the place. It's some sort of an inner light. There is some sort of energy definitely there. And I wonder if, and I don't know where Florence, Mississippi is. I mean, I know where Mississippi is, but I don't know if it's near the water or more inland in Mississippi. But regardless, it's interesting that we're getting the hurricane lamp, and I wonder if there was some energies that maybe this is a sign that there's some energies that have affected that area by storms in the past, maybe hellacious storms. Let's just keep it in mind. And preparedness is an interesting thing, because it's the first card out the gate. What's crossing is reinvention and infinity. Now, this isn't a challenge. And I think that the first thing that comes to my mind, if you try to I think, restore or do work in this place, you're going to upset the energies. Reinvention. There may have also been something, I think, at some other point, because the house looks like it's relatively modern, okay? And I'm thinking there was another building or home that may have sat on that land. And the challenge, because this is a challenging placement that it falls into, to me is like reconstruction on that land. Okay, now the mystery is starting to kind of open. Let's go to the base, the card that the reading is going to rest upon. A crossroads, a road opener, decisions. To me, this is like there's energetically something about the land it's on, like a ley line or portal type energy. Seriously, something's open, road opener. So that means to me portal. And look, we get two ways. So if we looked at that land, this parcel of land that the house sits on, and we put a cross, I think directly over it, it is a very active, energetic, naturally to the land. And yes, a house should not have been built there, in all likelihood. There's too much energy that crosses, and to me, this is why it's very active. Open portals, and why we're getting the card that's a struggle where reinvention and infinity are concerned. Of any kind of home ever sitting there for, being able to sit there. And the inner light also makes me feel like this is a spot that draws spirits, pulls them like a light, and because it's portal-like. So that makes me feel like she's got some traffic going through her house, for sure, and openings that are natural to the land. Yeah, her house should not have been built there. Crowning is shadow work. Now, this is interesting. That means there's a lot of fear deposited in that area and intense negative emotion. This needs like a clearing, so much clearing. It would take years of clearing work, lifetimes possibly, because I think there's been enough that is energetically charged activity on that land that's negative. There's a negative vibe, because if we are crowned by shadow work, this house is crowned by shadow work. Now, shadow work I happen to love to do because it helps to reclaim your power. But trying to do this over a house that's got this portal opening activity, ay. That's a lot of work. And I really strongly feel even a very adept medicine person trying to work on that land, at the end of the day, I just feel like the house shouldn't be there. That land serves another purpose, and the house being there is just the wrong place. Awakening, also. Energy, coffee. You think about it, it's my favorite drink, one of them, and it gives me a boost, which, speaking of, I need some more of. But that already, again, is I feel like continuing on with amplifying a message of activity, activity, activity. And unfortunately, there's where in this spot there's a deposit of a great deal of fear. Maybe a lot of people at some point passed, or it doesn't even have to be a lot. It could just be a very serious loss of life that was intense. Or a traumatic event, because we're getting shadow energy on that land. And it also happens just naturally to have, I think, not just one opening, but it's a road opener. To me, there's at least 2 portals, and probably 2, 3, 4 maybe, that places within that home that there are really notable, powerful activity. That's a possibility, just doing what I did with this, the way the road looks. So this is not a staged thing. This is not a put on. Life cycles, metamorphosis with the cicada, long spans too, right? Isn't there something about the cicada? Let me just check on that. What is the story? All right, now here's a little blurb that I pulled up on the cicada life cycle. Cicada life cycle has 3 stages: eggs, nymphs, and adults. Female cicadas can lay up to 400 eggs divided among a dozen of sites, generally in twigs and branches. After 6 to 10 weeks, young cicada nymphs hatch from their eggs and dig themselves into the ground to suck the liquids of plant roots. Okay. Why does it take 17 years for cicadas to come out? Okay, so that's the number I was looking for. And I don't think that necessarily that exact number is in, the definite, but something definitely about life cycles, and possibly with the same division as the cicada of 17 years maybe. But I think in the past, maybe this is speaking to cycles that are significant, where change occurred. And maybe in specifically over the last 17 years. Well, that place, excuse me, has been there for at least 10, maybe going on 11 now, years, maybe going on 12. But there's something maybe about the 17-year marks of change that have occurred to the land or whatever. Something significant there. Anyway, it's a long span. And I feel like this is also saying this energy has been there for a very long time and has developed. Maybe, a lot of spirits crossing may have endured some kind of traumatic death, or they're carrying a lot of trauma and sadness. There's a lot of shadow things like anger, depression, that kind of energy. It's negative and it's saturated, it feels like. Okay, let's go to the next card. There's teamwork in the near future, or order. It would take, in my opinion, and this may be the teamwork with the paranormal folks coming in trying to help her to understand what's going on there. And it's always a risk because, when you bring somebody in, it's going to stir things up. Spirits won't usually like it. But this to me also means I think it's not just one thing there that is causing this energy. It's old, it's been there a long time, it's shadow, and there could have been groups of people. Maybe there was a battle nearby, or a massacre, or, some traumatic event, or events. It makes me feel like it's a number of them over time within the vicinity of this house and land. And that naturally it's got like ley lines or something going on. This to me also speaks to the cycle, I think the 10 years, 11 years going on now, that one of the investigators has been working to literally read on this place, yes, to set things up and figure out what's going on. Though they don't read on the place, they do read their readings and their instruments, but teamwork, and it is order. Maybe in the near future there will be teams of people coming in to work to, over time, bring it into order or to settle it. I also think that there's a number of beings that have passed that were working as some kind of unit or living as a unit, perhaps on that vicinity, that area, and there was something very dark that occurred. I do feel that. The eye is on, and the issue is on wealth and prosperity. I feel like there was greed involved going on in connection to this land. And it makes me think of definitely whites taking over indigenous land. Maybe there was a massacre there, or in the nearby, some significant trauma. And I don't just think it was one trauma, which would be bad enough, but I feel like it's multiples, and it looks like and feels like to me possibly not just one individual having a unfortunate passing there, but I'm feeling like there could have been greed here, maybe to do with the land, the place, that played out in various ways over time. In the environment, this land is independence and an agency. Was there an Indian agency there at any time? Just a thought. I used to live in a small town in Missouri called Agency, and they called it Agency because it used to be an Indian agency, and there was activity out there. But this also speaks about independence, and again, it's making me feel like we could have indigenous people fighting, trying to protect their land, other people trying to take it over out of greed. It's just a feeling. And this land would have provided independence, to somebody living on it, sustenance. And I believe there was some activity in its past where there was a horrible traumatic event that went on in order for someone to try to obtain this land. And in obtaining this land, there may have been, I feel like there were groups of people up against other people. Homecoming afterlife. Now this is in the hopes and fears. And to me, this land is still identified by, I think, beings that have energy there, even though they're deceased and should be in the afterlife. To me, this is also some who are fearing perhaps going into the afterlife because of what they did to get that land. Definitely energies that want to still, utilize this land. And I definitely feel there's energy that's afraid to move on. And I'm thinking it's energy that's done something with regards to this land, perhaps in the way that various people that have lived there obtained it. There needs to be fierce protection. This is the final outcome and grounding. So it could be that some of this energy in the future, if people are working in teams, may be grounded. They may be able to bring a protective element that's very strong. But I'm thinking that this is actually probably already a protective spirit or spirits of that land. Also, I think you've got more than one thing going on, that it's not just human. I feel with this card that there's protectors, spiritual beings also trying to keep this land or protect this land. And maybe protect people from going and building on there. And the people and the different teams could be like her and people now trying to go there and build, and the spirits that are there that don't want anyone building there. And I think there's some good reasons. I think it's definitely a toxic lot, and it needs healing, and nobody should be building on there. There is some history to it, and I'm getting long spans of time prior to, I feel like, that house trying to be constructed on it. And there is, and it's very strong. I don't know. I really doubt. It would just, to me, it would take a lifetimes for humans to try and clear it. It just doesn't feel to me like it would be human spirits that entirely that they're clearing now. I think that there's a very dark energy there. And for the well-being of anyone, that they should not be living there. Let's see if we can get some clarification. Yeah, protection. Okay, Spirit is protecting mentorship. Energy, cosmos. It's a sacred area. There is some this land is used, I'm also feeling like, by elementals and non-human. It also makes me feel like it was a sacred space that was desecrated, and something done that was really traumatic on it. And there's just a feeling to me of like, because something like this happened, the land itself is and non-human energy that is protective of it is trying to keep human beings out. It's like they've desecrated it to me. There's such a need to try to protect it. It's like desperate to do so. And it says coupling, partnership. So this makes me feel like it's more than one. Yeah, dismantling is that there's ugly truths, ugly things that have occurred on that land. And it can be in connection to also anything that may have happened to, I think, slaves as well. I think we're looking at a place that amplifies. And it was at one time, I think, a very sacred. It's still very sacred land. It just needs to be really worked with to return it to that condition if it could. But I feel like human beings aren't necessarily so welcome there because of what has gone on. It's just definitely, there may have been, was it part of an old plantation of a married couple that had it, or had that in its land or in its proximity? There's a strong energy there, the painter. And there's loyalty. It's just like that's theirs. There's such a protective, yeah. That I just don't feel that certain beings that really cling to this land for whatever reason, if they're human because they once had a plantation, if it's slaves because they endured a horrible time and death there, I'm feeling like it's not just one or the other. It's like teams, numbers of people, numbers of beings also, that are then trying to perhaps keep human beings off of it so eventually in time that land could heal. It's just something curious. I get luck, chance, and roots, influence, and support. Yeah, this goes back. And I think that if you try and build there, you disrupt it. I think you're going to chance something here. But let me just get a little more clarity on that. Those two. Okay, yeah. It was a sacred space. The grove, divinity, it was a sacred space. But the axe means it was desecrated. It was made less sacred. Because the axe in this deck is a lessening, it will lessen the cards around it, their influence. So I definitely feel like part of the issue was this place was a sacred spot. I don't think that definitely human beings should be living on. There's another purpose for it. I also believe that once it was desecrated with this ugliness, that's what it amplified, and that's what's still there. Yeah. Again, we're getting the plurality and diversity card. So more than one, that there is more than one energy there. And that it's, I think, diverse. I think there are human spirits and non-human spirits. I think there are indigenous trauma there, and then trauma of other people that came later. And because again, I feel like there's an amplifying effect that occurred. Yeah, silence. And introspection. I feel like there's an energy, there's a predatory energy that does lie in wait. And there's one of ego, vanity, and pride. And I feel like this is the one, this is a being, I think human, male, that has not completely transitioned. So this person, and I feel like it's a male, it's what came to me, I think is an entity that is connected to that. And I feel like it is a Caucasian male. Sacrifice, rebirth. Vanity set, after we get pride and ego, is about self-awareness and clarity. And I really feel like this individual felt like they had a right to that land. And I feel like they're very egotistical. Thus the vanity, and vanity referred again to with the peacock and a male. It's the male that has, right, the colorful feathers as well. And the feeling here is this person felt like they were completely within their rights. They believed in what they were doing, that it was theirs, and that they were going to lie in wait and attack anyone. And I think they're still attacking. The peach, which is usually something that is desirable, attraction, longing, wanting, you know, something that is desired. And we have live oak, which is about longevity and reliability. This land has been desired by a number of people and beings that have, for its energy, I think, and for the beauty, but it was a sacred space, and nobody should have been building on it. I think that in its proper use, I think probably goes back to indigenous people that recognized that. But then something was done to desecrate it. And it's now, like you do that, it's cursed. Yeah, there's mojo and there's karma. Spiritual intercession here would need to happen, and mediation. There's justice, karma. So there is spiritual activity, definitely. And I think Spirit also tries to keep people, human beings, from building on there. Because of that it's been disturbed, it's not balanced. It has been desecrated. You don't want to live on desecrated areas where a lot of trauma has occurred. And I think the best thing that this woman could do would be, if she's going to live there, is to get, I think, probably some, if she could, medicine people to come and try to work with her in healing that land and getting some spiritual intercession. There's healing that is needed. And I think people that live on that land, like her, she's going to need healing and self-care. We're being given that innocent people were harmed and need healing connected to that land and that home now. And that there is communication, prophecies. So there may have been, I don't know, sometime in the past, maybe somebody said they would curse it, I don't know. Or there was maybe some clairvoyance with regard to this land that it would need healing. It definitely needs healing. It's been desecrated. Solemn book, which is rejoicing and faith. And dashed hopes and mourning. Yeah, some people were killed on a sacred space, desecrating it. And instead of the life-affirming energy that a sacred space would give, potentially, this one now has been corrupted with death and greed, and it spoiled the balance of the space. So that would take specific types of, I feel like, decades of work by healers, light workers to try. And I, don't half wonder if they should just leave it and let Mother Nature take care of it, because I don't know that human beings would fare well. They could be attacked by the energy that's there now. That's my feeling. It just should be left. So that's my reading on the house in between in Florence, Mississippi. And if you found this enjoyable, please give a thumbs up and make sure you share with like-minded people. Make sure that you're still subscribed. I've lost a number of YouTube's doing the funny numbers dance again. But anyway, make sure you're subscribed and your notification bell is on. Thank you so much. See ya in the next video or live.